Off our Facebook Lives again. I used to be the founder of One Shift, which got acquired last year, and now doing Tammy with my business partner Jess, Glenn, and also Skilled. The first one for the season, if you want to call it, we're kicking off with Levi, the country manager of Deliveroo. Now Levi's going to introduce himself and talk a bit about kind of his startup journey, Deliveroo's, and kind of where things are going, and I'm going to start sharing everything, so over to you.
Hey guys, so I'm the country manager of Deliveroo. We've been in Australia for just under 2 years, and it's been phenomenal since we've launched here. We launched in Melbourne and Sydney, and since then we've been growing across all different cities and now operate in 9 cities around the country. So prior to Deliveroo, I worked in startups and tech, and also in the restaurant food tech space, and that was something that I found was quite exciting, looking at Foodie Nation, the way that we behave around food, the way that we download our apps and really have a great synergy and affinity towards technology, and putting those two things together as Deliveroo became bigger and bigger over in Europe. It was something that I looked at and was very excited about bringing to Australia. So we've done that, and it's been fun ever since doing that. Sitting here today with Jen, going through sort of, I guess, what our story's been, as well as my own background, is something hopefully you guys will find entertaining.
Awesome. Sorry, I barely shared half of them already. So can you tell us a bit about your sort of day one as a leader with Deliveroo to what you're doing now? How has that evolved and changed?
Yeah, it's been like a massive ride. So day one for us was October 7th, 2015. We started in Sydney and Melbourne with about 8 people in each city. It was literally like the first day of school. Everyone came in, they had their laptop, they had their little notepad, they had their phone, they had all the different equipment they needed to get started. We all got to know each other, we all worked around a little table and started really the battleground of getting out onto the road and talking to people about this concept called Deliveroo. We do food delivery, walking into fine dining restaurants and telling them that we want to do food delivery. Great, take their food, deliver it to someone's home or office. It was very hard. People were saying, you've got the wrong thing. If you want food delivery, go to like Johnny's Kebabs or Dave's Pizza, and that's what you want to do, but we're a fine dining restaurant, don't come to us. So it was really challenging, I guess, the status quo of the way people perceive delivery. And going out with a very small team was fantastic because of the camaraderie and really leaning on each other, whether it was in Melbourne or Sydney or cross city, is something we were able to do. As we scaled and as we became a lot bigger across the country, as the success and the repeat sort of business from customers as they ordered once and ordered twice and ordered 3 times kept on happening, and the stickiness of the product and the tech took off. That was fantastic. But as we grew, I guess our challenge as we grew was really the scaling across the country. What does that mean? Both from a business side and rolling out riders all over the country, but also from a cultural side. Spending time with our team as our team grew and hiring new people each day as we are a very fast growing business.
That's awesome. So I thought we could have a competition and order some food and have a race. I've got mine all set up on my computer.
Interesting.
So game on. So guys, what we're going to be doing is both ordering food on Deliveroo and seeing whose order wins. If you have any thoughts on what we should be ordering, whack them in the comments below. Otherwise, I think it's going to be donuts or ice cream.
Is that what you want, donuts or ice cream? I'm thinking something...
What do you reckon? Or have you had lunch? Is probably a better
question.
I'm
going for like a little sipping of a acai bowl or something nice and fresh.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, that's a good idea. Salad bar actually do some good juices.
That's so funny. That's what I'm on.
Oh, you're on that?
All right, you get salad bar.
Are you sure?
I'm going to do something else.
I love that you guys do the multicolored app that you can change the app color.
Yes.
Yeah, so what was the decisioning process behind that?
So really, our company in general stands behind diversity. So it's something that we've been quite proud of over the last year or two as we've taken a step forward here, and through our own employees and through our own sort of the customers that we speak to, but more importantly as a company, probably speaking to our employees, thinking about diversity in the workplace, thinking about what that means in all different type of levels. It's something that internally the company supports, and therefore we push that out. And we recently rebranded again to Deliveroo. So if you've downloaded the app and you have a look, it's actually called Deliveroo now, and that will be for the next while. And then even when you're tracking your little rider coming towards you on the app, he's all coloured up and coming to you. And we've received some really great feedback from people out there in support of that. And I know that in Australia it's a very controversial topic, and a lot of different people have different opinions. we don't really want to get stuck into, you know, that sort of conversation. It's more about just sort of celebrating who we are, and, you know, like food, we believe, you know, love should be shared, and so that's something that we want to do with Deliveroo, or with Deliveroo now. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Fantastic, and I mean, that's something that, I mean, personally, I agree with it, but obviously there are people who have a differing opinion on the situation. How do you guys as a company and as a leader, how do you manage that conversation by staying out of it, by the sounds of it, or, you know, how do you manage that?
So we have a pretty much open door policy with a lot of different things that we do. So I mean, on this topic, you know, when we came out internally within the company to discuss this, and then within our employees around Australia, we basically said, look, this is how the company believes in, and if you have any questions about it, definitely reach out, have a chat with us. We have an open door policy, so you can go have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
It's something that we don't look at, you know, pushing on emails every single day to our database, or something that
forcing your opinion on people.
No, we don't want to force our opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, our core business and what we focus on is food, and we do that really well. So that's what we need to focus on. But at the same time, we need to recognize the environment and what's going on around us. So that's why we put our hand up.
No, that's awesome. I think it's a great initiative. But have you figured out what you're going to order yet?
Yes,
at the same time?
I'm ordering something which is a little bit of a surprise. So
oh, really?
Let's go for this.
So I'm ordering a green light smoothie from Salad Bar, and it's going to include spinach leaves, coconut water, celery, banana, apple, ice, and I'm getting a regular. It actually it doesn't meet the minimum order of $17, but it's going to get me across. I can add something else in, actually.
So while you're doing that,
yeah,
I've gone for a little bit of Messina. I don't think you can go wrong there.
You can't go wrong there.
So let's see how this one goes.
Oh, mango smoothie. All right, I'm going to get a mango smoothie as well. I'm sure I can sell that off for free.
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Oh, right, we're going to checkout. Add $4 to proceed.
Good to go?
Good to go. 3, you'll go. We're going.
Yeah.
You done?
You've been done?
Oh,
yep.
What is my expiry? Wait, I wouldn't trust me ordering things online either. Oh no, I think I'm already behind with my internet access.
So you've ordered?
I'm officially ordered. Awesome. I don't know what my timer is, so we'll see. Game on.
Excellent.
So while our awesome things are turning up, hi Carrie for joining. So as a leader, I think that's something, you know, there's a lot of startups that have to figure out their own style, what works with their teams and things like that. So what are the hardest lessons you've learned as a leader, and what have you changed to, you know, hopefully continue to grow and be a better leader?
I think the biggest challenge that we've had, and biggest challenge I've had, is scaling our business across, you know, as I said, starting from 8 to 16 people to have 80 to 100 people in our business across Australia, and that's a huge change in you know, under a year and a half. And realizing that as we grow really fast and being fast growing and jumping out there and doing what we need to do, that's fantastic from a business perspective. But from a people's perspective, we need to look inwards and see it's great that we're opening up new cities and we're opening up new areas and bringing thousands of restaurants and riders onto the platform. But what are we doing about our people, and how do we be transparent? And remembering, I guess, that we're part of a global business, and so, you know, being one of 12 countries has really awesome, you know, sides to it. But the other side is also knowing how to sort of transcend that information down to everyone on the ground. So there are things happening in London, in France, in Singapore, in different countries that are really relevant to what's happening in our country. So being able to let everyone know on a regular basis, you know, how we're tracking as a company. So one of the things we've done is internally we release our P&L to our employees, and so they're able to sort of see where we are as a business and really have that faith, A, where the business is going, but B, also very importantly, to know that often when you're hitting the pavement, you're doing your work every single day, you don't necessarily see the bigger picture of what you're doing and how that really affects, you know, the lay of the land in Australia or globally. And so by sharing that with our staff, they're able to see, you know, when they sign a restaurant and they talk to that restaurant and get it on board, or if a marketing exercise works out really well, how that actually hits the bottom line and what difference that makes. And by doing that, I guess we're empowering, you know, our staff and our people to really understand the impact they're making. Yeah. We know that lots of times people are talking about, you know, how do I measure the impact I make in a business? And it's very hard to do that without having sort of that transparency.
Oh, definitely. And do you find that staff you're attracted to that in the job interview process? Do you find better talent by kind of creating that sort of open door policy?
So it's I think it's been a moving picture all the way. So all these things that we're doing, there's a lot of things that we've done as a business in the last probably couple of months that have really, changed the way that we do this. And I guess like any fast-growing startup, first you want to prove your concept. You want to get out there, get the product right. Only in the last 6 months have we been adding like the really important other parts of our business. So whether that be, head of people, or looking at it on a global level, or thinking about, how legal needs to work around our business and other sort of sides of our business. So as we've grown, I think it's been learning for everyone, and I guess that's one of the reasons I jump out of bed every day. So every day is going to be different. Every day is going to be a challenge. Everyone's got a different story. So it's really understanding that and making sure that we're listening. So I guess that's the biggest part.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think people have this perception that, Deliveroo is this huge global company. How do you think that that's versus the decisions you've had to make? I mean, only having a head of people in the last 6 months, how do you manage that expectation from customers and people externally versus what you're doing internally?
So I think it's really taking out the time to listen to what's going on. And when I say listen, it's like listening to, I guess, our 3 main pillars, which are restaurants, riders, and customers.
Yep.
I mean, the way that I do that personally, I still jump out on a bike every couple of weeks and I go ride around for an hour or two and do deliveries. And the reason why I do that is not just because I probably don't get to the gym enough, but also because it's great because I can see the app and see how the app is working, the technology updates that we're continuously doing on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So I can see how that's performing. But in addition to that, I'm able to also go around and have a look and see how the restaurants are perceiving the riders. Is the conversation they're going? At the end of the day, the riders are driving a huge amount of added revenue onto the restaurants by physically riding around and dropping food off. So do the restaurants engage with the riders? Do they talk? And how does it feel to be a rider is really important. Understanding technology, like I said before, but also delivering to customers and knowing what that is to deliver to a customer, climbing up those stairs, knocking on that door, not knowing what's going to be behind that door, whether it's a hungry family or a really grumpy business person or whatever it may be, and sometimes that might be me. But it's really, understanding that whole journey. And the reason why that's so important is because when we come back to the table, come back to the board table, or have our meetings, we talk about how do we do last night in our deliveries. We might say that 96% of our deliveries were on time. It was fantastic. There was 4% that due to weather or other conditions was a little bit late, and we just sort of accept that and go, okay, well next time we should be a little bit better. But when you yourself have done that delivery and you've delivered to someone and that delivery was late because of unforeseen circumstances, you come back and say, hang on a second, maybe 4% is just not good enough. We cannot have an experience where someone is going to deliver and they're delivering food to a family or to someone who's really disappointed with that late delivery. So that 4% becomes actually a focus point, where before I think it's very easy to get stuck in zeros and ones and numbers and basically saying, yeah, it's okay, overall we're doing well. So it brings, I guess, the humanity back to what we do, and it is hospitality. So whilst we are, machine learning and algorithms and all that sort of flying, we still need to have, some of that interaction.
That's fantastic. And so with your marketplace, I mean, you have lots of different elements, customers, riders, the restaurant or the career drivers and the restaurants. How do you bring all those elements together to make sure, for double-sided marketplaces, the biggest challenge is how to make sure that you have enough people in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, so I think that's what it is, boiling down to our algorithms that we have.
Yep.
So the algorithms that we have are both predictive and historical. So we're able to look at a restaurant, for example, that may have been on a Friday night, their prep time, the time it takes to make the food might take them 20 minutes or 25 minutes, but on a Tuesday night it might take them 15 minutes. And by doing so, we're able to take that historical data, put in weather conditions, other conditions, and really work out how long it should take for the riders to get there. And most important thing for us is to give our customers transparent timing. So when you use the app or the website, you're able to check on and see 10 minutes away, 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away. I'd rather tell you something's going to be 40 minutes away and be accurate than tell you 20 minutes away and it takes 40 minutes. Yeah. And so using our algorithms and continuously, the machine learnings that we have and the systems that we use, we're able to work out how many riders are required in different areas, and we're able to communicate with our riders. And I think that's probably a really important part about what we do, is that community engagement with our riders, letting them know, this is how you can earn really well. This is where the peaks are. This is what's going on. And so they can then decide, do I want to, jump out of bed or get away from TV and go do 2 or 3 deliveries and then jump back and watch my football team win or whatever it may be. So people have that flexibility to do that. So it's taking, I guess, the good old demand and supply and using that on steroids in sort of our environment and chucking some bad weather and a few other sort of variables. And
hopefully not all the time.
Not all the time, but it depends which city you're in. And, we did start off across in London where it rains a lot more than it does here in Sydney.
Melbourne would suck.
Yeah, so
get the eyebrows in.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, when it rains, we could have a 25% spike versus the city that it doesn't rain in. So knowing how to calibrate to that is really, I guess, where the technology jumps in.
Yeah, definitely. And so, all this amazing technology infrastructure that you have now obviously is phenomenal to be able to support this kind of company. Day one, though, coming into Australia, how did you make this all work? Or
Yes.
even globally?
So day one, it was really good, globally. So it started 4 years ago, and that was our founder, Will Shu. He spent literally before he started the business about 9 months on the road as a rider, as a bike rider, and he did that, and because he wanted to really understand what it is to deliver, similar to sort of what we do now, to understand that. Because he needed to understand where are the pain points in delivery. It's been around for 10, 20, 30 years. What can we do different that's going to make the customer experience? And so what we think about is obsessing over the customer journey. Yeah. So if you flip back to when we started here in Australia, I guess the hardest thing was, first of all, convincing people to start and join Deliveroo. Nowadays, you put an ad up for Deliveroo and you get, hundreds of applicants, which is fantastic. But back then it was going up to people saying, hey, there's a company called Deliveroo.
It's a crazy concept.
Yeah, we deliver food from A to B. I mean, that's how we, at a very light level, that's what people would think about. But once you look into it, it's actually there's a whole different world going on there, really understanding what is happening in a restaurant, what is one cuisine versus another cuisine, bringing great brands that you recognize instead of having a Russian roulette sort of platform where you don't know what you're ordering. So I think that's where we've challenged the status quo, both on a selection and then on a service in terms of how we work with our riders, how our riders deliver, whether it be, we're vehicle agnostic, it might be on an e-bike, it might be on a bicycle, it might be on a moped, it could be on a motorbike, all different types of two-wheel transport generally. So I think taking all that in consideration, you've got your great selection, you've got awesome service, and price, making sure that we have a really good level of different prices. So, whether you're looking for high-end or mid-end, depending on what you want, there's something for everyone's palate.
That's awesome. And what about, what's the best hack that you've learned as trying to get it from day one to the quickest growth kind of thing?
So growth hacks are really interesting. So I think
everyone gets hungry every day, right?
Everyone gets hungry. I mean internally, with our development team, which is quite a large team based in London. They went through lockdown. I remember last year for a good month or two, just to shave off like a minute off delivery time. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but to hungry or hangry customers, they're sitting there waiting for food. It was something that was quite important. So that's more on the tech side. On the growth sort of hack side, when we first started, it was really literally getting out on the streets and flyering, speaking to people. And I think that's something when you think about startups, we all have great ideas, and I think everyone's talking about this idea, whether it's local, overseas, and we get so caught up in our own ideas, we don't often get out and speak to the customers or go out on the street and talk to people. And I think that's something that even true today, is important to do, to go out and understand, have that, that language that we can talk to, the narrative, just the general conversation, as I said before, listening to what customers have to say, riders have to say, restaurants have to say, and taking that back. So for us, the growth hack was we used to work from like 9 to 5 in the office, and then 5 o'clock, pens down, everyone put on your Deliveroo jackets, get out there with flyering, go onto your main streets, whether it be Surrey Hills or Darlinghurst or CBD or in Melbourne or anywhere, and really start flying and talking to people. And obviously that's not scalable long term, but when we first started, I think it was
startups, right?
We had to do many things to do that don't scale. All of us would hit the phones every single day before we had a customer service team. We take the calls every day. We go out, we do deliveries when we're short of riders because nobody really knew about Deliveroo then. But these days, it's still keeping in touch with that whilst we've scaled to be able to jump on and get on the phone with customers or go to a delivery or speak to restaurants face to face, so you actually feel their pain or they might be going through. So I think that's, if we look at Deliveroo in general, that's probably our biggest focus point and unique selling points is looking at the way that we work with restaurants, so our account management, the technology, like the amount of developers that we have focused on our 3 apps, so restaurant app, rider app, and consumer app, the app that we all use. So that's continuously updating, so it's super exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously with so many different elements, plus being a global business, lots of time zones, how do you as a leader manage your own stress levels, your own, I guess, making sure you're at the best mental capacity to make the best decisions all the time?
I don't know if I make the best decisions all the time. I try to, but I think the trick to that is surrounding yourself with really smart people. So I've been fortunate enough to do that within our business here in Australia. So, we have such a respect for all the people that work within our business, and so many different people bring things that you'd never think about to the table, and you cannot expect to come up with all the ideas, and by surrounding yourself with the right people is number one. I guess, being part of a global company is really exciting. You've got to, we sit with 12 countries, so, or 11 including Australia, 11 plus Australia. And so looking at those 12 countries, we're able to get quick learnings. Something worked in France, so that's fantastic. Let's roll that out in Australia.
Yeah.
But more, what we get excited about is the things that we roll out in Australia and they take off, and then you find out they're rolled out in Belgium or rolled out in Singapore and other sort of places. And so you get to have that ability of doing that.
Yeah.
I guess the hard part is that Australia being 9 hours behind, London in the winter, 11 hours behind in the summer, 6 p.m. our time when we're sort of getting through towards the end of our day, London and Europe are turning on. So we jump onto video calls with all the other GMs or even the staff, across our business, are jumping onto calls with, the sales team or the marketing team or the corporate team or all the different type of teams that we have out there so that we can share those learnings. So it is challenging on that side. We balance it up by, I guess, having a lot of fun in the office. So we can start later in the morning. There's table tennis or free food on Fridays or different type of things that we do, and we're always eating. So there's always some food or drink coming through the door.
Deliveroo 10 kilos when you first started.
Yeah, so I'm still working on that, and that's half the reason why I do ride every couple of weeks to sort of work that down. But in terms of, just really, I guess, focusing on what we do, but also understanding to have fun. Yeah. That's one of the things that are super important to us. But at the same time, it is challenging working with these time zones.
Oh, of course. So mental health then, as a leader in so many time zones and working with so many different elements, what do you do to kind of keep us there?
Yeah, so I think mental health is quite obviously personal. So everyone's got their own sort of ways of dealing with having space or doing different things. So, in our company, we do meditation twice a week and we have yoga once a week. So we do that in each of our offices. And I think that helps people just stop and realize that it's okay to stop. It's okay to just take some time out. On a personal sort of level, me just sort of jumping out there and going riding and doing that is great for me. But also, I do like to walk to work when I can, do other sort of stuff to sort of think about sort of other things apart from being in front of a screen 24/7, because I probably am in front of a screen or if not connected to one in my hand. So I think switching off is really something that I'm pretty focused on. So on the weekends, trying to switch off as much as possible. Yep. But then during the week, I'm pretty wide, pretty on. So yeah.
And what do you do to keep learning as a leader as well?
So we just released across Australia and globally this opportunity for our staff to learn. So there's new courses that we have out there. So we initially put courses out internally, but we partnered up with another agency out there that can do courses for our staff. So our staff, and including myself, can jump on there. You don't necessarily have to choose a course that is related directly to your work. You might want to learn about leadership, knitting. You might want to learn about public speaking. You might be someone who's nothing to do with public speaking, but it's an interest.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're en route? I don't know where I am. Let's have a little look-see.
Doing a status update. Maybe I can show you. Oh, sorry. I'll get you a screen first.
So here we are, on the way, coming towards. Let's see what happens.
I'm on the desktop version. So no idea, but 240 or 230 to 240 for an estimated delivery. Have you got an estimation?
Yeah, mine says 9. So what does that make it?
235? It might be bloody close, just saying. So with, I guess, sorry, I'm just trying to straighten up the camera very subtly. There we go. So then with, hiring people, obviously having the right people in the team makes a huge difference to, a business's success. How do you attract the right people without having a brand? Is where you guys are now.
Yeah, so I think attracting the right people is tough. Like in terms of culture, just manifesting, having great culture. Being in the food space. One of the things we find, we work with a lot of corporates, and we go out there and talk about ordering Deliveroo, and we find that big corporates out there, the first thing that goes in the office is the kitchen, because they need more office space. Office space comes at a premium, and one of the things that we talk about when we talk to officers is it's not necessarily about a slide or a table tennis table or some sort of activity. Just eating food with each other really makes that difference. Talking to each other, getting away from the screens. And I think when you talk about culture and think about our average age in our company in Australia, about 27 years old, 28 years old. So most people, it's their first, second or third job, really passionate people who want to get out there and do things. So we look at sort of people's energy, we look at people the way, and different people, more want to be more social than other people, so we need to look at that quite carefully. Yep. It's more about having common goals in terms of what we want to do. We're a fast-growing company, and many people come to us and they tell us that they, I ask them, why do you want to join Deliveroo? And so often the answer is because I've been working in corporate for my life, and I'm really, it's too structured for me. I'm really looking at Deliveroo. It's fast-growing. I want that freedom to go out there and do different things, and not have that sort of structure. Yep. So we talk to them, and it's funny because 2 weeks later they're in the office going, I don't understand, there's no structure around here. How can I not do anything? And it's like, well, we told you there's no structure. We're still, trying to learn out, how to do different things ourselves, even though I believe we're getting a lot better. But it is really, understanding as an individual, what we are, who we are. We look at our values, so our values are about being straightforward, being respectful. So you can be straightforward and call someone out on what, maybe something you don't agree with. But be respectful about it. And we're all there for a common goal, and we have very passionate people in our company, and sometimes the KPIs are competing with each other, but at the same time recognize that and learn how to be respectful. Having fun as well is a big part of it. So if you're not really into having fun, then probably doesn't fit into Deliveroo. You got to really, our top value is give a shit, really care. It sounds like all airy-fairy, but every day we're dealing with technology, we're working with people and riders, and in a very passionate space where people care about the food. It's very timely. You need to care. Don't be complacent, right? Like think about everything that's around you in our environment. Look at that as ways of leveraging to make you jump out of bed and make you get more energetic. So I think we go through that sort of process as we speak to people and really see, I think, what drives them. And we hope that we make the right decisions. And so far, I would say that I think we have.
You've got a question from Jess Glenn, my buddy at Tammy. Have you seen an uptick in productivity since introducing the unlimited courses? What's the most left of field course that someone of the team has done? And I'm assuming besides knitting.
So definitely there's been a really big upsurge. We've been talking about this in our company for about 6 months, and we're dealing with a company that has over 1,500 employees globally. It's a big thing to roll out, so getting the right sort of partner involved and the courses that are available was a big deal to do. But now that we've done it, I think we've had about 200 people enroll in courses already.
Wow.
So that's really exciting, and that's globally. And here in Australia, I think it's sitting about 15 or so, and we've launched this about 3 weeks ago. People are also being not too quick to join because they want to study. There's hundreds of courses to choose from. So rather than push people just to do a course, we'd rather you choose the course, and some courses are a month, some courses are 8 months. So you need to choose which one that is right for you. But we've had people like getting into, we don't have any, all our technology is based out of London. So we don't have any developers here in Australia. They're all sitting in London. It's a massive team over there. But we've got people who put their hand up who want to learn how to do Python, which is coding, and learn how to understand more data analytics. So I mean that's some of the stuff that you'd expect from a tech company. But in Australia, we're part of marketing and sales and operations, and not all those are the type of different roles are going for the same sort of roles that you'd expect them to. Having said that, a lot of people are looking at leadership, so they want to do courses on how to be a good leader, and these are people who may not be a leader yet or a manager. These are people who have, I guess, high aspirations, and they want to know how to join the dots, how do they get to the next sort of level. So that's something that is going really, really well, and each week I get an update of how many people applied and what the courses are, but how about we stay in contact, and I'll show you some of the really interesting ones that come out.
Yeah, awesome. And so, I mean, these sorts of value add or perks that staff get that they can work for you now, fantastic. But how, there's a lot of day one startups or first couple of years startups, who watch this sort of stuff. What, from your learnings, what would you do now if you were starting again that you can obviously afford and that are manageable at that sort of stage?
Yeah, so I think also looking at what we do and understanding the size of our business, I think it also draws back to focusing on one thing. So really focusing. Often, and I've been involved in other startups before, and often you get this urge that when you have a startup where you've got 1 or 2 people within your business, that how do we scale really quickly? Like, how do we start off here in Sydney and grow that massively and be across Australia globally? Or look at the business itself. I think this is my driver calling me, so just hold on. Hello? Yes, on level 2. We're on level 2.
Damn it.
Yes, all the way at the back. Actually, it's a little look.
Yeah.
If you walk through the stairs.
Hang on, grab.
Okay, here it comes. Okay, thanks. Yes, I wonder what Jen's going to eat, because I didn't really see her menu. She's getting mango smoothies, 1 large, and a green light drink from Salad Bar. So I went with Cena. I think that's going to do the trick. She's probably going to have mine, but she'll be back in a second. But yes, yes, there has been an uptick, I guess, not just in productivity, Jess, but also in terms of just this excitement around learning, around sharing and understanding sort of what's going on. What?
You've won.
I've won? Thank you. Come on. There we go. You're on camera? Excellent. So what do you have? Mine or is it yours?
I think it's yours, isn't it?
What's
I called
the
you. Oh no!
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. Good stuff. Say hi to the camera. There you go. Awesome.
You won the Deliveroo race.
So we got a little bit of Messina happening over here.
Thank you.
Let's see, how far away is yours? I think it's on the way.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we can share this with you. We can have a little look, or I can be polite and wait till Jen's food
Oh
comes
no,
up.
please, mine's a juice.
No, it's all good.
Ice cream melts. But so Jess says thanks. What does the onboarding process look like for Deliveroo?
So if we're talking about employees, so onboarding is really understanding, what we're doing in our business. So I think what we often forget is that we assume everyone knows what we do in our business. We deliver food from one restaurant to a customer. But what we do through the onboarding is week one, you need to ride a bike and do some deliveries yourself so you can actually understand that experience and appreciate what we do. Week two, you need to be jumping on the customer service line. So, you're talking to restaurants who are calling up and having issues maybe in their restaurant, or speaking to riders who maybe something went wrong with their GPS and they can't find where they're going, or speaking to customers who are wondering, where their food is. So it's really important that you do, work and ride as a rider. You do actually get out there on the phone. So that's from the external perspective. Internally, we try and match you up within, so if you come as an account manager, so you're working with the restaurants, try and pair you up with someone in operations who's working with riders and throughput and all the other sort of metrics that we look at. We try and share that around. It has got a little bit more challenging as we've got a lot bigger and open up 4 offices in Australia, so Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth. But as we do that, we do have times where we bring people from different cities to the head office, which is based in Melbourne, and they're able to sort of jump into the different areas. So that's the first part. Obviously, ordering food is a big part of it as well. So we order food for the office every week, and if you're a new employee, you probably get to order food for the whole office and see if you make friends or don't make friends. So that's always fun. But yeah.
So this is from Carrie, what has surprised you about Deliveroo customers so far, besides their love of food?
Yeah, so what has surprised me, I guess, about Deliveroo customers in general is that, okay, looks like we're still going.
We'll just go grab it.
You need your food now. Okay, food's coming left, right and center here, it's all happening. But what surprised me at Deliveroo and with the customers specifically is that the majority of our customers haven't really come from a background where they've been ordering food. Their lifestyle didn't necessarily dictate to them, that they've got to order food from a delivery service, every single day of the week.
Winner.
Oh, here comes.
Lucky last.
Here we go. Great. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Great. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
See you.
Bye. Yes.
So now we've both got our food. But yeah, so the majority of our customers in the last year and a half since we've launched in Australia have never ordered food delivery before, or have ordered maybe once a year. And now they're coming back weekly ordering, more than weekly, every second day, every day. And so that surprises me. I thought that, coming, into the market with a really strong product, a really great offering of selection of restaurants and great service, that we would get many different, I guess, people from existing platforms jump across and come to Deliveroo. That's happened, but the majority of our customers, through word of mouth, from seeing our great riders, as you've seen today, riding around the streets, piquing their interest and going, hey, what's going on with that? Who is that? Who's Deliveroo? And I've heard about it. And word of mouth is, the first 2 years of our business was the most powerful thing. And that's how we grew our business, across in the UK through word of mouth. And then also here in Australia, word of mouth is really what drives us. So in terms of that customer experience, the 80% of our customers haven't ordered delivery before. But in the last year, it hasn't stopped coming. It's very, very sticky.
But if any fish burners want some free ice cream, if you bring up some spoons to the level 2 boardroom, it's here. We have
lots of good ice cream.
Otherwise, mango smoothie.
I'm going mango?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. We lost. No. So do you always win on the racing delivery?
No, so we often put it up there for test, and when I say I don't win because someone else in the office wins.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we love doing that. So we always look at sort of, where we're going. Obviously, we build our areas that we deliver in so that from, kitchen to customer, so it's about 6 minutes. So if you're looking at your ordering time, I might say 25 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on the type of food that you're ordering. So all the food's fresh, it's made straight away, so we want to understand the prep times. But being that we work on our areas so that they're only going to be a few kilometers radius, so from you, only a few kilometers away you can order, it's really important to our partners that we do that. They care about their product, they care about the way that it travels without spilling, or the ice cream hasn't melted.
That's really surprising that nothing's gone anywhere.
Exactly. So, we care about the product because we know our restaurants do, and so does the customer. So we're able to really have that in a very short amount of time, and it's something that, we look at why customers order and reorder, because they can look at the app, they can trust the time that's on the app, and they can look at that and go, 25 minutes, great, I'm going to hard day at work and jump in the shower, finish the shower, come out, and the food is there. I travel a lot, so I usually order when I land in a city, and so by the time I get home or to the office, right then and there, I'm getting out of the taxi, and there you go, here's your food. So it's really something you get to bank on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And has there been any interesting stories of deliveries that you can say?
Yeah, so there has been some that probably can't say on camera, but otherwise what's really interesting is that this hasn't happened to me, but you can actually write notes when you're ordering food, and when you order food you can sort of I'm on the 3rd floor or the 2nd door on the right, so we've had quite a few interesting people, like on a Saturday morning, say, hey, can you please we've got a hangover, please pick up some Panadol on the way over here, I'll give you a $10 tip. We don't endorse these things, but the messages come through, and so people write funny things to the riders to try and incentivize them or help them get out of trouble. So that's always fun.
Have you had anyone locked in a room or something accident and they've had to get a Deliveroo?
We've had a rider locked in an elevator.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, so he got into an elevator, started going up, but because he didn't have a pass, he couldn't really get out at any floor.
Oh, no.
So going up and down, but then eventually, and because it was a late night, there's not always someone on deck, but eventually we worked it out by calling the customer. But yeah, there's lots of different fun and stories that happen, and I guess that's what you get when you go out there and ride with the riders. You get to hear their stories firsthand of what's going on, whether it's a flat tire and a drama, or whether it's actually going out there and realizing that, hey, I'm knocking on the door, open it up, it's a house party, they come in, have some food with us, or stick around. They're like, yeah, I can, but not for long. And I guess that's the flexibility the riders can choose. Hey, I want to stop for 5 minutes and have a party, I can, and get back on the bike. So yeah, there's lots of fun and good things to have.
Oh, that's awesome. And so for day one startups, what are the 3 things that you think that they should know or do before starting, or while they've just started?
Yeah, so going back to what I said before, is focus on what you do really well. Focus on your core. We do food delivery, we do food, we do drinks. We're not going to step out of that. We're not going to start delivering pharmaceuticals and other sort of small packages, or utilize the rider fleet in different ways. It's about focusing on food. And in any other startup, I'd say the same thing. Focus on your core. Get that right. You always have the temptation to get out there and maybe add this feature on, or add that feature on, or maybe we can try and instead of just being here in Surrey Hills or wherever it may be, open up in 3 different states at once and get that really big spread, but yet you haven't really had any customers on board, or you haven't learned. So I would say focus on what you do, stay small, really excel and do well at that, get returning customers. As you see that, start to build your business. But also I think pricing and costs is really important. I speak to many different startups who start off with the free model. They want to get it out, their product out there, get people using it, start looking at data and all that type of stuff, and they do that for 3, 6, 9 months. And then it comes to that hard point, they're like, okay, this is great, we've got hundreds of users or thousands of users, but nobody's paying for it. I think I can monetize, so I'm going to start charging either per delivery or whatever it may be, or a subscription or whatever you might do. And so it's a really big sleepless nights about what I should charge. And then often people, they just go in too low. They go, look, I don't want to shake the boat too much, I'll come in at $1 a month or whatever it is, so I can prove that people pay for it. The hardest thing you'll have in life is to increase your prices, but also people perceive value. I mean, if you're building and working on a premium product that you've thrown your life into, charge accordingly. Don't rip people off, but charge accordingly. And so set that price right. You can always, if you think you overshot the mark a little bit, you can always do your 2-for-1 deals. You can always do your, buy now for 3 months and all that sort of stuff, but maintain your price. Because at the end of the day, if you do start charging and you lock yourself in at a really low amount, you'll never be able to actually be profitable. And all that work that you did, it'll just be, you'll be as cheap as today, and then tomorrow someone will beat you because they're cheaper. If that's your unique selling point, your cheapness, then you're probably not going to last very long.
Yeah, that's awesome. And lucky last question is one I always ask: if you had a superpower, what would it be?
A superpower?
Yeah. It's a tough one.
Probably, I don't know if it's a superpower, but be able to travel in time and go back and probably correct some of the things that I probably should have done a little bit better.
Won't ask what they are.
No, so I think everyone's got stuff that they could do better. I probably wouldn't want to go too much. I wouldn't want to go too much further in time. I think not knowing what's ahead of you is part of what we are as human beings, and I think it is that challenge. Knowing what's ahead of you and knowing all the answers that's no fun in that. I think we need to make mistakes. We need to fail. We need to understand what it is to succeed, and the challenges are there. Without that, I think we take it for granted, and we lose that edge. So we're always fighting against what tomorrow will bring. So yeah, that would be to go back in the past and then come back to present.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I can say cheers for winning, by the way.
Yeah, no, cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks, Jen, for being awesome.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to enjoy some Messina and have some fun. See ya.
Bye.